In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, I bear witness there's no God but God, and Prophet Muhammad is his slave and messenger, and I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected Satan. In this video, I'll be discussing about Imam Mahdi and how he'll free the slaves using divine law of Allah. We'll find these divine laws in the perfect book of law, which is the Quran. These laws are very important to understand. This is how anybody can bring about world peace and world justice, but Imam Mahdi is the one that will be chosen for this task and will lead the charge into bringing global justice and prosperity and peace globally when it was filled with injustice, disharmony, chaos, suffering, and inequality. So Imam Mahdi is going to implement these divine laws. These laws are unseen, these divine laws. These laws are universal and eternal. They're timeless and everywhere. The law of gravity is a very good law to understand. It's very easy to understand, to see it in the universe. We can see gravity affecting planets and around suns and whatnot, and gravity here on Earth, that we're all subject to these divine laws. And as I said, the Quran is the perfect book of law, so very important to understand the Quran and the laws within them. The more we implement these divine laws, the better our behaviors will become, better will manifest a better reality, a paradise reality, by implementing these divine laws. And the less we understand these laws, the less knowledge we have about these laws, then the more corrupted the world will become, the less morality there will be, and more behavioral defects that will occur because of the lack of knowledge and implementing these divine laws of Allah, which are God's laws. So I'll be focusing on the law of free will mainly in this video. Very important to understand free will. We can see that the world at large does not understand this divine law of free will. Our free will is being treaded on a daily basis. Governments of the world are forcing their will upon the citizenry, forcing them to regulations, to licenses, to taxation without consent. If you don't pay your property taxes or income taxes or whatever tax without your consent, is a form of theft, as a form of imposing their will upon another, which is a violation of the divine law of Allah. And every cause, there's a consequence. Is another law of Allah, is the law of cause and effect. So if you have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to feel, you will see how the governments and other institutions and police that enforce these gross violations of divine law, how it really, they're enforcing their will upon another. For example, they force, if you want to travel, that you need all sorts of licenses and insurances and plates and registration and whatnot. If you want to do business, there's all sorts of red tape and all sorts of things that you have to do just to create a livelihood. This greatly hampers innovation and new ways of doing things and productivity and whatnot, that man does not need to implement its own laws. Allah's laws are perfect as they are. They're here to enhance our behavior and character, to give us a greater experience of bliss and a beautiful way of life, and more importantly, to give us more reward in this world, but more importantly in the next world, which is much more magnificent and much more longer lasting. So we're going to go right into the Quran and see what Allah says about free will. So we're going to go to chapter 6, verse 107. If Allah had forced His will, they would not have associated partners with Him, and we have not made you a guardian over them, nor are you a disposer of their affairs. So basically Allah is saying that if He didn't force His will, then we wouldn't be able to associate partners, have idols, um, make what Allah made unlawful lawful, which the legislators do. It's very clear to see that legislation has no bearing in reality. It's not universal. It's not eternal. Their laws are limited. They've only been into practice for a short period of time, which means that they're not eternal. They're only applied in a certain area, which means that they're not universal. So we can clearly see that man's law is flawed. It's not correct. We don't need man's law. We already have divine laws that are governing our behaviors and our consciousness to help us evolve. And obviously there's consequences to all our choices as the divine law of cause and effect. So we'll go to the next verse here, which is chapter 6, verse 149. Say then with Allah is the conclusive argument. Say then with Allah is the conclusive argument. Had He enforced His will, we would have surely guided you all. So what Allah is saying here is that this is a great argument. This is the end of all arguments when it comes to free will. That is very clear. If Allah did force His free will, we would all have been guided. We all would have been believers. We all wouldn't have associated partners with Allah. That Allah gave us free will choice, and this is a way to help our conscious evolution, to better our behaviors and characters. By free will, we can see in reality, through the law of cause and effect, our choices that we make, how it affects the world, and we see that back as a mirror, and it's a learning tool to help us perfect our character and behaviors, and I said reward in this world and the next, and can also be a punishment as well. If we are not obeying these divine laws, then we can be subject to the hellfire for punishment, to purify our souls in the hellfire. And the hellfire is very obviously extreme and a very severe punishment, and it's long lasting. So we definitely don't want to be in the hellfire. We definitely want to be in a paradise state in this world and in the next world. So it is very vital that we understand these divine laws and implement them, discover them, understand them. And I believe the best way to do that is through educational ways, teaching people these divine laws. That's why I make these videos, to help bring the knowledge out there, to help spread the knowledge that I understand, and bring that all to everyone out there in the worlds to make the world a better place. I want to live in a paradise. I don't want to live in a world full of suffering, chaos, poverty, homeless people are starving in the world. There's all sorts of wars and oppression that's going on, financial oppression. It's really in a dire situation. I mean, governments are printing as much money as they see fit, borrowing it on interest, and obviously interest is unlawful. It's not a divine law. It's against the divine law of Allah. You got banks, using fractional reserve lending, which is creating more inflation. There's the taxation, which is extorting people's wealth, and they're using coercion to force people to pay them by fear and punishment. So, you know, the governments are really, and institutions are really imposing their will on the people, and that is a gross violation of the law of free will. And it's our responsibility to stand up for our God-given rights and to live that and to understand these divine laws, and also to stay within the law of harmony and balance is very important, so we can maintain harmony, which is very important. Harmony is a very important part of a paradise state. So I hope that makes it clear about free will. I hope that will help increase all our knowledge and understanding about divine law. Inshallah, I hope to make further videos about divine law, inshallah, very soon. And I hope we all be guided to the straight path. May Allah protect all the believers. Take Allah as your shield and protector alone. That's another divine law of Allah. And may increase our light, our knowledge, and may the divine laws be fully implemented in the world. Thank you so much. May we all be blessed. Thank you.